This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning. Welcome to Ann Ortelee's weekly weather for the week of May 29th to June 5th, 2022. We are taking off like a rocket this week. Lots and lots going on in the heavens, lots and lots of new beginnings, lots of changes, shifts in your attitude, shifts in your latitude. It really helps the energy of how you're going to do things, what you're going to do, and what the new options are. Remember, we have a big shift this week because Mercury is going to go direct and Saturn is going to go retrograde. So there's lots of energy, lots of changes, lots of kind of a little tough energy, but energy we can handle. And I know last week I said, Tuesday was going to be hard. And then I heard from a number of you about the school shooting in Texas. This week has some hard energy too. We never like the hard energy, but we do report on it here from the weekly weather desk. So hopefully we'll give you some tips on how to handle the energy and what to do with it. Okay. First up, the image of taking off like a rocket. When I woke up on the morning my dad died, he was in Aries. This was what was in the sky. This was a rocket that had been launched up at Cape Canaveral, which is visible from here. Actually, well, the whole east coast of Florida can see the launches. But I want you to think of this energy as the energy for the week. Now, it's not the Challenger explosion, right? No planets are exploding at the end. No space shuttles exploding. So you're going to take off like a rocket, but you're not going to explode. That's the important thing to remember. So when we see energy like this, we understand that we're really working with massive energy of change. And of course, we are finishing up our eclipse season, and we are starting this new chapter of how we go forward and what we do in terms of our direction. So it's really important for you to go, okay, eclipse season is over, ends tomorrow on the new moon. We're launching anything that was supposed to leave our lives or we were aware of was going to leave our lives, or reveals, a lot of reveals this eclipse season. And think of it as from April 16th through now. That's when we entered the eclipse season on that full moon lunation. Then we had the new moon on April 30th. Then we had the full moon on May 15th. And now we're having a new moon Monday. And so we know that eclipses bring things to light. Eclipse means to leave. It also means to rise up, where people rise up and suddenly see things, understand things, learn things. And this whole eclipse season has taken place during a pretty big Mercury retrograde. And right now in the sky, there's a minor grand trine from Mercury, trine to Pluto, and both of them sextile to Neptune and Pisces. And during this whole eclipse period, there's been a minor grand trine in earth and water, asking us what we want to create next. So it's important to be focused on that. Now, I will say, sometimes launches are a little bumpy. You've watched your share of space movies, Warp Speed, Captain Kirk and the whole thing starts to shake, and Apollo 13, Houston, we have a problem. We saw the Challenger explosion. We saw the explosion, I'm drawing the blank of the name of it, over Texas, the rocket that blew up over that. So, we know the blowups can happen, and that's part of the energy of this week. Blowups can happen. The thing to remember is Mercury is retrograde for part of it, and then he goes direct. So things that happen before the Mercury retrograde, turning direct, can be reversed, and quite frankly, probably will be reversed. Then later in the week, Saturn stations to go retrograde. And he says, hey, I want you to go back and look at this stuff and figure out what structures are important. What are the things you've built that you do want to keep? What's worth preserving? Where don't you want to go forward just yet? Because there's some revisions needed. So with that in mind, we're going to take our imagery of the rocket and we are going to go forward into the year, the week, and see what's happening, because this is kind of shaping the rest of our year, right? So it's a big week. And I want you conscious, I want you looking at people and going, that's the decision. Okay, that's the decision for now, because Mercury's retrograde. We may change the story. Now, I often tell the story when I was a baby astrologer, my father got diagnosed with prostate cancer and announced he wasn't going to get treated because he'd rather have sex, you know? And I was like, what? You're not going to get treated because you'd rather have sex? He was like, yes. I'm like, all right, I hear you. Call my astrology teacher, John Marcusella, all in a, whatever. And John goes, and it's Mercury retrograde. The decisions will be reversed. And I'm like, well, you don't know my father. He doesn't change his mind for anything. He's an Aries with a Leo moon and a Leo rising. What he says is, and he's the king. But I took a deep breath and I waited. And what happened was his doctor came back to him and said to him, which is what you do with Aries when they're being stupid. You're being stupid. You're being stupid. You'll die of something else if you treat this. If you don't treat this, you will die of prostate cancer. Do you want to die? You're not taking away your penis. You'll get it back. I mean, whatever their conversation was, but that was the net. So my father agreed to get treated. And he called and he said, okay, I decided to get treated. I'm like, all right. Mercury retrograde. Change the rules. Good. So what you want to watch is the rules that are being told to you now, or were presented to you as this is the way it's going to be, all are up for change once Mercury goes direct, and then once Saturn, the authority figure, reverses his decision, retrograde. So it's important to know that's the energy of the week. So don't get your knickers in a twist. And remember, these are decisions we're making for now because these are what feel right, but we're also working with a minor grand trine with Neptune. And we know with Neptune, delusion, illusion, and in a good way too, it can get you into situations and you go, oh, I'm in an illusion, I want to have that. That's a positive version of it. And yes, you may get it and then go, I didn't really want it. Or, you go, well, I feel like I have to do it. Urgency of the eclipse. I really wanted a girl dog, but I took a boy dog. And you go, all right, it's Mercury retrograde. What's gonna happen with that decision? You're gonna go, I wish I had a girl dog. I wish I had a girl. It's interesting. So it's always helpful when you're doing these, and you may be perfectly happy now that you have a boy dog instead of a girl dog. So we honor the energy of reversal with this, but we do know we're taking off like a rocket. That puppy is not coming back landing anytime soon. He is off into the sky and they're going up, and there is no explosion. See, there's no explosion. It's just a straight launch. So we're taking off like a rocket, and that's our energy of the week. All right, let me change a slide here. I've been experimenting with flipping my flipping myself back and forth, so hopefully that'll work. So here, first up, today on Sunday, 6:30 this morning, Mars and the Sun, Mars and Jupiter conjunct. See it right there? Now remember, Jupiter went into Aries like a couple weeks ago, and he is starting a new 12-year cycle when he goes over that Aries point, over zero of the equator, which is great. He gets up there and he's like, dobe. And then Mars comes along and the two of them go action. It's kind of like everybody gets on set and then they go action. That's the action, that Mars, Jupiter. Now we do know Jupiter's only going to be in Aries up to 8, and then he's going to retrograde and go back into Pisces in October, November, and December, end of October. And then in December, he goes back into Aries for good, for true. So this is a false start, but it is a start. So we never diminish false starts. Somebody dives off that diving board, the racers on the end of the swimming pool. I always love that when that happens. They're on the end of the swimming pool, everybody's on their little blocks, and somebody goes in first. And then they all stand there and they go, okay, that guy's got to get out of the pool, get back on the block, feels a little embarrassed, but Mars and Aries, as my friend Heather says, ready, fire, aim, little premature ejaculation, premature start. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. Now he knows the temperature of the water, gets back on the rock, and then everybody ready? Okay, let's fire the gun and go dive in the water again. So it's a start, but it's a false start. Notice Gemini rising, 2. We have to do it twice, not once, twice. We also see the minor grand trine here with Pluto in Capricorn, trining our little retrograde Mercury there. Retrograde means backwards, redo, over again, done one more time. And we also see our lovely little moon in Taurus next to the Mercury. Notice how close they are. Moon is 26, 33, Mercury is 26, 56, separated by 23 minutes. That's very close, and 360 degrees times 60 minutes. That's a lot of close. So the energy of the moon in Taurus is really interesting in terms of wanting what it wants when it wants it. And it's kind of maybe making Mercury jump off the rock sooner than he should. But there's a minor grand trine up here to Neptune. So the two of them are like, well, we know we want it, can we do it? So that's the energy there, right? But this is a really new beginning. Notice Venus just went into her favorite sign out of Aries. So she's been in Aries for the last chunk. She's going to be in Taurus. She went in there yesterday. She's going to be in Taurus until June 23rd, I believe it is, or the 26th, one of the two. But she's in her favorite sign. Mars is in his favorite sign. Mercury's going to station to go retrograde and then, or go to direct, and then he's going to get in Gemini. So all of our 3 personal planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, are going to be in their favorite signs this month. That's a really good thing because they're going to be like, yes, let's go, let's do it. We're off, we're on, let's go forward. So this is a nice chart. Again, think Mars, Jupiter taking off like a rocket. But false start, not a false start, an initial pilot season. Let's call it a pilot season. You know how they do the movie and then they go, we're going to pick up the show, and everybody goes, yeah, or they go do the movie and they go, that character, we didn't really like him, let's change him out, right? Pilot season. We don't know what's going to happen, but we do know we're starting, but it's not a true start because of the Mercury retrograde. We also have a lot of Mars days this week, and I pull them out. Now, this is when I do the weekly weather. This is what I look at, or when I do the pocket full of stars, cup full of stars. So we see the Mars in Aries join Jupiter. Then the next day, or later that day, we see the Mars in Aries contra-parallel Jupiter in Aries. That's the false start part, because Mars and Aries met, but then they're having this bump. They're arguing, they're fighting, they're a little crabby. That's the energy of a contra-parallel. They're at the same degree of declination. Then on May 30th, Mars in Aries has a fight with relationships, contra-parallels Juno and Pisces. Well, I thought this is what we were going to do. And Mars goes, no, I don't want to do it. So you're going to hear a no to the partnership, to the relationship, to the energy moving forward. I don't want to. I know that was your dream, but I don't want to do it. No. Mars in Aries, contra-parallel. Then on May 31st, Mars in Aries parallel Jupiter, right? As opposed, remember, it was contra-parallel here on the 29th. It's parallel now on the 31st, meaning they have a handshake. They go, yes, we got this. They're at the same degree of declination instead of arguing with each other, trying to control each other. That's when the shot fires and they actually all go in the pool, right? March 31st. Then on June 2nd, we have Mars and Aries contra-parallel Eris. That's going to be a hard one. Another hard day. The June 2nd, Mars and Aries contra-parallel Eris, the goddess of discord. Whenever that girl shows up, there is trouble in town. You know, she is a mean girl. So when she shows up, that's the mean girl energy. Then June 3rd, Mars and Aries contra-parallel Pallas Athena. I had a strategic plan and you're not doing it, Mars and Aries. No, I'm not. Well, why not? I don't wanna. Mars and Aries, Pallas Athena in Taurus is stubborn. Venus is now in Aries. She was in Aries for a while, running that Pallas Athena. So Pallas Athena was going along to get along, not to cause problems. Now she's answering to Venus in Taurus, and she goes, no, I don't wanna. And Mars and Aries can poke at her, and she's gonna go, kind of think dogs on the sidewalk that don't wanna walk. and they sit down and they look at you and go, you gonna carry me? That's that energy. I don't want to cooperate with you on this. June 3rd, Mars and Aries sesquiquadrate the south node in Scorpio. Sesquiquadrates are stressful squares. It's a semi-square and a square. This is when we look at that energy that we learned about over the eclipse, and we understand Mars and Aries has consequences for its behavior. Simultaneously, Mars in Aries is semi-square the north node in Taurus. Stress around how we're going to proceed to create something, and stress about releasing, having to take action and release something of a Scorpio nature. So this makes for a tough week. And this is also why I'm saying the energy is Mars takes off like a rocket, because you can see all week long, Mars in Aries, his favorite sign, meets up with Jupiter, his buddy, and then he plays with all these other planets. Contentious? Yes. Clarifying? Yes. Argumentative? Yes. But energy. So take the energy, repurpose it, say, well, this is what's going on. What, if anything, can I do about this? Now, Mars and Aries can be angry, right? It can be very angry. And you can take that anger and you can do good things with the anger, you can do bad things with the anger. Your choice. Being informed, like you are now, helps you understand. Of course, Mars and Aries is cars. Mars and Aries is guns. Mars and Aries is war. You get the picture, right? Nobody liked Mars. You know, he was the guy that walked in and everyone went, oh, he's here. Oh, a little crude, little rude. You know, you got him. He's here for a reason. But, you know, really? Now, Mars and Aries, fast, quick, speedy, go. There was a guy I was in a house with on Fire Island. He was in Aries. I think he was Mars. I know he was Mars and Aries. He was Sun in Aries, and then there were a couple other planets. And he was always like, we called him the mayor of Ocean Beach. And he knew everybody. He knew a good-looking guy, really good-looking guy. But he was also like I had sex, I'm happy. You know, they were complaining they weren't happy. Well, I don't really care, I'm happy. And we would go, you don't care? And he goes, no, why would I care? I'm happy. And it was a good enough looking guy that it didn't matter that they were unhappy because there was always somebody else, right? That's Mars and Aries. And, you know, totally adored him. He was a really funny guy, but he didn't care. He was like, this is what I want. This is where I'm going. This is what I want to do. So understand that's the energy, Mars and Aries energy all week through the 3rd. Next up, we have a new moon on May 30th. This new moon, of course, is at 9 Gemini here, 9 Gemini. Most important to know, Algol. See Mercury on Algol, people losing their heads. Algol is the fixed star of beheading. Bad to have that active in a Mars week. But it is the fixed star of beheading. It's Medusa's head in the sky. Perseus slays her, cuts her head off, and it's a blinking star. It's called the most evil star in the heavens. Not a good look for a heavy Mars week, right? It's piles of corpses in the Chinese system. It is death and destruction. It's a death and destruction star. It literally is beheading, people getting their heads cut off. I remember at one point I was younger astrologer, and I was doing a reading, and the planet looked safe. It was in the 11th house, and it was Mercury. And so I said, hey, you know, this star means this, you know, any reference for this? You know, it's a star of beheading. Oh, my brother got his head cut off in a car accident. I went, wow. It was Mercury on the fixed star of beheading. Mercury, of course, rules cars. So it's an interesting star, not an easy star with this new moon. So we may find we're cutting off heads. You know what that means? Layoffs. That means, it doesn't have to mean your head's cut off, but it does mean you're done. You're finished. It's time for a new chapter. It also is, and it's an end. It says, I'm cutting off your head. But notice, Mercury is retrograde. So if I cut your head off, like my father said, I'd rather be dead than have my little parts cut off. Now remember, when he was in medical school, that was the outcome of prostate cancer, right? So now it's, 40 years later, whatever it is, it's more than 40 years later, because I was an astrologer, 45 years later. And he's, and the doctor's like, no, don't be stupid. We've changed how we do it. So again, Mercury retrograde. So you may get your head cut off, but it might not be permanent. Or if you get it cut off, it's actually for a good reason, meaning whatever the reason is you're getting beheaded at this particular place, something will come of it. There's a positive forward that will take place. Again, remember, Mars is in his happy sign. Venus is in her happy sign. Venus rules the Mercury retrograde on Algol, the world point. So it's an interesting help. The other thing that's in the sky is Aldebaran. Aldebaran is one of the 4 stars of the apocalypse. It's one of the royal stars. It's the eye of the bull. Think of the bull in the matador, the bloody eye of the bull. It's a really big red star. And I have what planet it's on right here. Let me look. So again, the sign of the bull, the really bloody red star, where it is pushing us forward. Yeah, where is it? I don't have it here. Never mind. I thought I had it. Getting old. But at any rate, that fixed star of beheading, it might be here on the Mars Jupiter one. I know I saw it. So at any rate, Aldebaran is the bull charging, right? That's the energy of potent forward motion. Mercury stations direct on Friday next week, June 3rd. You can see this is Mercury going direct. He is still 26. He is stationary there. He's still trining Pluto. He still is in a minor grand trine to Neptune. Forward motion. Let's get things out there. Let's get things going. In the Mercury going direct, Pallas Athena is on a world point. So you want to pay attention to strategic ideas that come your way. We also see here the moon opposite Pluto. This is saying, since Mercury's been retrograde, a lot of stuff has come out. You've seen a lot of things. You've realized a lot of stuff. What do you want to do about it? How is it affecting your home and hearth? How is it affecting you emotionally? How do you feel about it? And you might not feel happy about it, but moon in Cancer opposite the Pluto. Remember, we're having the United States Pluto returned. So you're looking and you're going, what's our mission? What's our vision? What's our purpose for why we're here? When you have your Pluto return, it ends a 250-year cycle and it starts a new one. What is our vision for America? What is our vision for who we are? As Pluto goes back to station to get to 27 on July 12th, right? So we're really seeing how things work. We're also seeing this Neptune is in a trine to the part of fortune, the moon is in a trine to Neptune and the part of fortune. That suggests, it's taking the information you have now, understanding how things have changed, how things emerged on the eclipse, what we need to bring forward and take forward into the next chapter, and more importantly, what we need to leave behind, because we do need to leave behind some things. Then last but not least, Saturn stations retrograde here on Saturday. Now, he is retrograde until October when he gets to Libra, when the sun gets to Libra. Remember, planets go retrograde when they're in a trine to the sky. So the sun is in Gemini. He's going to go from Gemini all the way over to Libra. When he gets over here, Saturn will station and go direct. So Saturn down here at the foundation of things, the bottom of the matter, the structural energy. He also is then going to be retrograde. So we're going to find out starting next week on June 6th, where the January 6th Commission is going to start having their public hearings preparatory to filing their report. We also see with Saturn down here at the foundation, it's very important for each of us to say, what is my foundation? Most important, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that bottom pyramid, the bottom part of the pyramid, safety, comfort, warmth, moon, it's your moon level, that bottom level of that Maslow pyramid. Go look it up. Your moon has to be stable for this to move forward. Pallas Athena Still on a world point over here as Saturn goes direct, speaking to what is the strategic approach we're going to take in terms of giving this information out to you, because it's Athena on Uranus. Is it going to affect how you see things? Have you had an awakening with the eclipses? Now that you've been awakened, what do you want to do about it, if anything? In some cases, it's best to go, not going to do anything about it. In other cases, you might be like, you know what? I got to do something about this. And either way, you're right, but just proceed consciously, because that's the important thing. So in my world, I have a hater, right? I have a hater. The woman's rather obsessed with me. And I keep hearing about it from different people. And I'm kind of like, haters gonna hate. I'm a Taylor Swift fan. Shake it off, shake it off, shake it off. But I'm also kind of like, well, let me look at her chart. So I looked her up. And she's got her Mercury Uranus conjunction on my Neptune. So that's delusional thinking about me. And her Jupiter's on my moon. And all her Scorpio planets are on my Scorpio planets. It makes me just inflamed. And I want to write something, I want to say something, I want to do something. And then I'm kind of like, no, you're not going to do it. You're going to just watch it. Why are you so inflamed? What about this is really triggering you? So that's the important space to sit in, to say, okay, that's a person who hates me and is telling lies about me, and is talking trash about me, and like, wow, I don't even know her. I mean, it'd be okay if I knew her, but I don't know her. But obsessed, right? So I can't do anything about it, right? But I can look at it and I can understand my reaction to it. And that's what's important. Look at it and understand your reaction to it, because that's the space that growth happens. And that's really all we can do. Sometimes haters gonna hate. When we look at your stuff for the week, Mercury, we've covered a lot. Mars, we've covered a lot. Sun in Gemini runs to, he gets forward and he gets to 15 of Gemini. It goes from 8 of Gemini forward. Mercury, of course, he stopped, so he basically is parked at 26 all week. And remember, he is also widely square, but he is square, approaching the square to Saturn. He didn't get all the way back in, but he got close to it. So Mercury square Saturn, what are you going to do if someone writes nasty things about you and tells lies about you? Probably not a lot you can do about it. They have free will too. Venus, of course, is in Taurus. She gets up to 9, almost 9 this week. And she, of course, doesn't have a lot of aspects, except she is talking to the Mars and Jupiter by a semi-sextile. So they're giving her advice. Whether she takes it or not, we don't know. But they're both going to sit her down and try and talk her into doing stuff. And again, free will. You don't have to do it. Mars, we talked about. I gave you a list of all his aspects. He is a busy guy this week. It is a Mars week. We're taking off like a rocket. It's not going to explode, but it is going to be fierce. Jupiter this week is ending relationships. He's contraparallel Juno, and he's just like, not going to do this anymore. Done. Letting it go. Saturn stations retrograde. He's not moving either. And remember, he stations on the 4th, which means the 5 days before, the 31st, the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, those are his days. He stopped. And then 5 days after, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, boom. So Saturn has stopped, which makes it feel like you're trapped. You're not trapped, but it can make you feel like you're trapped. Remember, both planets, Mercury and Saturn, who are buddies, are changing direction. They are in a square. It's a stressful information, stressful news, stressful, I didn't want that. No, I know, but that's what it is. But it's Mercury retrograde. It's going to change again. Have hope. My father died he lived another 20 years after that diagnosis. No, actually longer than that. He lived diagnosis was 96. He died in 19. So he lived another 25 years after that diagnosis. Pluto is in a hard aspect to relationships, in a semi-square to relationships. This is a tough week for relationships because people are just not really, they're just not really feeling nice. I guess that's the best way to say it. And then when we look at our moon calendar, the moon today is in Gemini. It goes into Gemini at 1:23 this afternoon. It'll be in Gemini tomorrow, Memorial Day, that new moon. We have a new moon webinar tonight at 7:30. I know, Memorial weekend. You can get the recording. Moon goes void on the 31st at 4:10 with a trine, moon in Gemini trine Saturn, who is stopped in the sky, trine Saturn. So that's a good closing aspect. Moon goes into Cancer on Wednesday the 1st at 1:49 in the morning. These are all East Coast times. It's in Cancer Wednesday, Thursday. And then on Friday, Moon goes void at 11:15 a.m. with an opposition to Pluto on the same day that Mercury stations direct. So that's kind of a nasty little day. The 3rd is nasty, even though the aspects aren't bad, because Mercury is stopped and because the closing aspect is a separating one. It can be an ouch day. That's our DB, our Donald Blandford day. Then Moon goes into Leo at 2:38 p.m. on Friday the 3rd. It's in Leo on Saturday, the day that Saturn stations. And then it goes void at 7:12 p.m. next, the 5th. The 5th is stressful, and the moon goes void with a square to Mercury. You know, Moon in Leo wants what it wants. It's a creative moon. It goes, I want this, and Mercury goes, no, I'm gonna give it to you. Or if you want it, you got to fight for it. And the moon also has an opposition to Saturn. So Sunday the 5th is a little tough too. And then the week is all just Mars. And, you know, if you like Mars, it's a great week for you. You'll feel energized, enthusiastic, ready to go. If you don't like Mars, this one can be a little bit tough. So we watch it and we go, okay, it's a little tough. What does that mean? All right. And our journey this week is to really work with this energy productively, positively, and hopefully helpful. Hopefully this was helpful. And we're going to go forward with it in terms of new stuff. Last but not least, the Pluto return of the United States, going to happen part 2 in a couple of weeks. This is a 90-minute webinar available on my website, and also the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, which is all about that new dream. And right now, Saturn and Mercury are giving it, or Pluto and Mercury are feeding that Neptune, working on the dream. So that's active. And then last but not least, Cupful of Stars. For those of you who like this weekly, I do a daily podcast, a daily incremental podcast, and I'll be posting a sample on the internet for you to hear and sign out. You also get here and see if you want to sign up. Talking fast now, I got to slow down a little. And a daily audio podcast, 6 to 10 minutes of what the aspects are for the day. So you get a list of the aspects. It's the same as my Twitter feed, a little bit longer because Twitter limits us. And audio podcast of the week. So feel free to sign up. It's $17 a month. It's on Patreon. We send it out at midnight East Coast time, usually. And hopefully it helps you work with the energy of the week. So this is it. Have a great week. Remember, we're taking off like a rocket, and we're going to have a wild and crazy kind of time. Have a good one. Bye.